Hello, welcome back to Fire's Gaming. My name is Ben. Today we're finally getting back to Suzerain. So, last time out we had a meeting with our military commanders and decided to remove conscription. As well as had a really long discussion with our economy ministers and just kind of talked about the state of, state of the economy. So yeah, let's come and pick it up here. So, we can either invest in mega projects or meet on escalating tensions in Bergia. So we're going to go and start the mega project because it's right here. Alright. So the Ministry of Economy has put forward 4 bold plans for investment projects, with each aiming to solve different issues ranging from production to infrastructure. The 4 available investments are Benfi International Airport, Morna Seaport, Conrad Industrial Zone, and Sarna Agricultural Zone. We're going to go with the Sarna. That always seems to do pretty good, so we're going to go with Sarna again. There we go. Quick and easy. No newspapers, no reports. Perfect. Alright. Well then, let's go have a meeting on Bergia. Nia Morgan and Lilius Groff scheduled a meeting to discuss an ongoing legal case that required my attention. Early in the morning, we convened in my office.
Thank you for being here at this hour, Mr. President. We need to inform you about some news from Bergia.
There's a court case initiated by a British citizen which involves a possible revision of the Constitution. Unfortunately, it has the potential to affect the whole country. Explain, please.
I'll start from the beginning. As you know, after the discovery of KA-74s and separatist hideouts, there have been more than a few attacks initiated and claimed by the BFF. Due to the lack of security funding, some of these otherwise avoidable attacks couldn't be stopped, so this led to some increase in tensions in Bergia.
Lilius sighed.
The main problem is with the security structure of Bergia. Due to the special status of the region, operations on the ground are run by local security forces that are not bound to the interior. Which means my hands are tied. However, with the rising tensions after Operation Bear Trap, we've also been receiving more and more intelligence about some kind of preparation by the terrorists. We can't allow the conflict in Valen to spread to Sorden. And we know that the Valen and Sorden divisions of the BFF are in close cooperation.
Let's go this one. You have my ear.
The increasing threat of the BFF led Governor Braun to justifiably resort to his emergency powers to curb the danger. His discovering militant training grounds disguised as schools was commendable, as well as his quick handling of bomb threats coming from major cities like Deer. However, his latest policies have been questionable, especially the peaceful resettlement order. It has been met with massive anger from the majority of the Bloods in the region.
That's a massive understatement. Governor Braun has abused his powers and clearly acted against the Constitution. I don't think you're wrong there. And quite surprising, Ishval Ersten has managed to successfully push his case to the higher courts. He's suing Felix Braun for infringing upon the liberties of the British people. He also raises a conflict in the Constitution, argues that the way it is written makes it open to interpretation and allows people like Governor Braun to abuse their powers. Who is Ishval Ersten? Ishval Ersten is a lawyer and a British rights activist. He lives in Deer and has experienced the systemic racism in the region firsthand. He was evicted last month from his home in Deer on the grounds of threatening public stability and safety. He was also shot at by local law enforcement forces several times in the last 2 years, managed to survive it all so far. The attackers, of course, were never punished.
As much as the eviction seems unjust, Mr. Ersten must be further investigated for his potential ties to dangerous organizations. I'd like to believe the forces wouldn't have fired at him without proper reason.
I'm pretty sure they would have. We'll go with that one. What the British community is going through in Bergia is unacceptable. We must do what it takes to stop this madness. And that we must. What exactly is this case about? Ishval Ersten is claiming that the current constitution gives the legal grounds to discriminate against British people, directly infringe upon the rights of citizens. He claims Article 7 of the Constitution, citing the line, "Every sword is equal before the law," is in direct conflict with the freedoms and rights defined in Article 100. Governor Felix Braun is accused of using Article 7 to justify his oppression of the British community. What are the accusations against the governor?
Mr. Braun has sadly evicted thousands of Blues from their homes in Deer recently. The fact that this happened in a city with relatively low levels of BFF activity is a sloppy decision at best.
A sloppy decision? This is a direct violation of the right to property. BFF activity levels have nothing to do with this.
But it does, Miss Morgana. The state can take any measures to fight with terror inside its borders. The decision would have been justified if those neighborhoods were in fact labeled as threat level red. But they were not. Hence, he did not have the authority to evict those citizens. In this case, indeed, the governor has definitely violated his authority.
You're underplaying it. This eviction was only the last of the many he ordered as part of Bergia's peaceful resettlement policies. This is not about Deer. There are hundreds of accusations listed in this case, ranging from violent actions by law enforcement officers to open discrimination in local municipalities.
Calm down, Deer. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Well, what exactly does Urson claim about the conflict in the Constitution? As you know, the Rights and Liberties Article 7 alludes to are described in Article 100 for further detail. All citizens are, in theory, okay, I don't think that word needs to be there, whatever. All citizens, in theory, can exercise the rights described in these articles and are equally subject to the law as described. And these rights cannot be suspended by the government under any circumstances other than a defensive war. Mr. Urson claims the line, every sword is equal before the law in Article 7 does not include other ethnicities, and thus gives the state the right to suspend or limit the rights of non-swords defined in Article 100. Courts have repeatedly protected Governor Braun in the past, and it is true that he bets on Mr. Hawker justifying his actions through Article 7. However, there is also Article 6, which the courts have already taken into account. Explain? As you know, Article 6 goes, everyone is bound to the source state by citizenship is a sword.
Which clarifies clearly that the Constitution does not discriminate against other ethnicities or cultures. Citizens of this country are called swords.
But did you ask the British people what they think? Yes, it's true this article has protected them on a number of occasions, as it defines sword as a non-ethnic term, but it is left up to the interpretation of the courts. They could have argued that Article 6 extends the rights defined in Article 7 to all citizens of Swordland regardless of race, but they didn't yet. They could potentially push this case to the Supreme Court. Mia stacked the papers in front of her. In any case, the situation might be troubling if it reaches the Supreme Court and Mr. Hawker manages to sabotage it by altering the current interpretation. It would be disastrous for British rights. I will be doing my best to ensure a positive result comes out of this case, but I am not sure if the centrists would be willing to agree with Mr. Urson.
Why would Mr. Hawker even sabotage it? The current interpretation is strictly socialist. I am sure he'll follow the Constitution and charge Governor Braun for unconstitutional behavior. According to the foundation of values of this republic, everyone who is a citizen of this country is a sword. The Constitution is clear about this and does not allow for discrimination. Maybe Hawker's not the man you think he is, Miss Graff. From what I have heard, his stance on the subject may not be the standard social interpretation, but something darker. I'm afraid he'll reject the case altogether and find Governor Braun innocent. If this happens, it would make discrimination against British people legal. Do you think Justice Hawker and the old guards would go that far? According to the rumors from the Supreme Court, yes. It is already unusual that this case is making its way up to them. To be honest, I don't think this is a matter for our administration. We must keep out from judicial affairs.
As much as I hate to say it, I somewhat agree with Lilius on this. I'd prefer to keep the status quo over risking a complete abolishment of rights. We still have the power to make tangible reforms. Your lack of faith is disappointing. I must say I didn't expect that from you. And what about your tangible reforms? I'm simply stating the obvious, Mr. President. Instead of openly attacking the court, we bring real change with our lawmaking powers.
Ms. Morgana is right. There is something that the government can do to address the situation on the ground. It is time we push for change within the scary structure of Bergia and the special status that resulted in de facto autonomy. It clearly isn't working. I believe we are aligned on this matter, Mr. President.
Mr. President, you asked me to explore options regarding the revocation of the special zone at the beginning of our term. Given the current circumstances, I think it is not possible. Alright, I'm listening. The resettlement policies in Bergia and the Urson case have changed the mood of the lawmakers. We can use this opportunity to push for their move of targeting Social Security Zone decree. It is a much bigger possibility than before. Of course, racism is rampant throughout our country, but British citizens inside Bergia are having much worse time than the British residents of cities like Lockhaven or Holsword. If
If we focus on Bergia, we can remove its special status. Now, this alone would be a huge step for British rights. Unfortunately, as long as Governor Braun is in charge of Bergia with the powers he has, no judicial reforms would reverse the situation on the ground. To put it simply, we want to work on a detailed proposal to restructure Bergia. I believe it must become a region of Solon like any other. We must centralize the system and abolish the local security forces.
Are you sure we can even revoke the special status of Bergia?
We can't be sure of anything, Mr. President. You know this better than me. But Lilius and I both believe there's potential to get more MPs behind the idea. It is true. Some members of my circle inside the party are keen on this as well. They are starting to believe Sol's policy in Bergia is already on its course. If we play our cards right during the process of this case while we work on the preparation of a strong proposal for the special zone, we can gather enough support behind it. We have to try.
Okay, let's hear about the proposal.
Nia and I both agree that we need to abolish the special zone of Bergia. This is the first point that the proposal will address. This would also mean taking away the special authority of the governor. I agree with removing the governor as well. Removing the governor as well as his insane authority, but I don't support a complete centralization of the region. I propose that we restructure the special zone, democratize it, and acknowledge the British movement. How does that resolve anything? How do you solve any problem by dividing the region from the rest of Solon? We've tried that already.
Now, hold on, Lilius. I want to hear Nia's proposal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Millions of British people suffered over the last decades. We saw massive uprising, terror attacks, and a governor going rogue. These people only wanted to live in this country as equals, but they're denied that. Why don't we allow Bergians to elect their own local government? Why is Holsworth so keen on prying into the lives of the British people? We should replace the oppressive laws of the special zone with a democratic system that allows for proper local representation. I propose the Bergia semi-autonomous region. I'm sorry to tell you, Miss Morgana, that Bergia is part of Solon as much as Ireland or Holsworth. You're bringing your secessionist Fetty Ajal's lifelong quest here as your proposal. What's wrong with you? What's next? Secession of Bergia and a formation of an independent British state, autonomy for Ireland? And why don't you hold a referendum for the Rums of Esword and ask if they want to join Rumberg while you're at it?
I'd also like to hear Miss Groff's proposal before deciding.
My proposal is very simple. The special zone must be fully revoked, governor's powers taken away, and the local security forces must be abolished. Only then Bergia can be an equal part of Solon. I propose we unite Bergia with the rest of Solon and enforce the same laws and policies as any other Source region, disbanding the current semi-independent security structure in the process. We will hold local municipal elections like every city in Solon, and the security of the region will be under the full control of the Ministry of the Interior. We can no longer allow their forces to pursue violence with impunity. If this is a problem that the central government could fix, your mighty colonel would have solved it already. The assimilation policies clearly didn't work. What does that have to do with anything? I'm just saying the solution is not a Russian unification. We must acknowledge that Bergia is a unique region with its own culture and history. We cannot disregard the social reality.
I kind of like Nia's idea, so... Nia has a point. Peaceful assimilation is also not the solution. We must finally listen to what the British people want. Nia smiled.
Great, I can start working on the proposal immediately.
Yes, it's been decided, Miss Morgana. You can get to work immediately. I'm counting on you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll start working on it immediately.
Lilius looked incredibly furious, but kept herself quiet. I doubted that she'd forget about this.
To have a structure that will actually solve the problems of the region, we need to conduct in-depth research beforehand. I believe it will take some time. My estimate is that the proposal will be ready sometime after your constitutional amendments are voted on. You can choose whether to enact it then.
Sounds great, Miss Morgana. I'm counting on you.
Great. I'll get to work. See you later, Mr. President.
They bid their farewells and left the room. I don't know. Like, Lilius's ideas seem to have some legs, but I have a feeling if we do that, that's probably just going to cause a lot more unrest in the city, and that just doesn't seem worth it. Nia's plan seems like a nice middle ground, so hopefully that won't, like, screw things up too bad. But anyway, let's see here. Looks like we got just the one report here from Lockhaven. Balanced energy prices in Lockhaven, reports NBC. The National Business Council in Lockhaven has reported a balanced energy market. Despite regional fluctuations, Lockhaven has maintained stable energy prices, which have had a positive impact on the local economy. This stability is fostering an encouraging business environment and promoting economic well-being among the populace. Coolio. Alright, so we got a Codex entry update. Oops, there we go. It's something about Gazom, apparently. Let's see, I'm guessing it's at the bottom here. Okay. Apparently Evald Alfonso resigned as CEO. Interesting. Okay, I don't know if that's the update or not, but whatever. I also have two newspaper reports here. So, first up from the Lockhaven Times, Gazom thrives. New investments yield success. In a promising turnaround, Gazom is experiencing an unprecedented boom. Thanks to successful new investments, companies expanding operations and hiring a substantial number of employees. This resurgence bodes well not only for Gazom's future, but also for the storage economy and job market. Cool. And from Geopolitico, a rising star in United Cantana. Vice Secretary Chairman, I have no idea. Tokezintli Iyotake. Sure. Influence within United Cantana is growing steadily, sparking speculation about potential leadership reshuffle in the distant future. His successful spearheading of the Iyotake plan and the transformative changes is incited are adding weight to these speculations. Notably, Leon Millenniov Chavatangakwanua has held the reins of power since the 1920s, dominating the political landscape for nearly 4 decades. There are growing concerns that, while the upcoming chairman election in 1960 might signify a change in leadership, might not genuinely represent the wishes of the Southern Cantanan republics. This anticipated controlled transition of power could sow the seeds for future instability and political unrest. Is Iyotake potentially set to supersede Chavatangakwanua? The global community is on tenterhooks, anticipating the potential far-reaching implications this could have for Cantana and beyond for the next decade. Cool. Oh, jeez. Alright, let's see here. So, we gotta do budget allocation on healthcare, or Central Bank Reform Act. Reinforcement Act, sorry. Why not? We're out of here. Central Bank Reinforcement Acts. The Central Bank Reinforcement Act, led by Edith Agnock and the GNA, intends to bolster the strength and stability of Sordland's national currency and bolster the overall economy. The Grand National Assembly advocates for the following measures. Section 1 mandates the accumulation of foreign exchange reserves. By buying foreign currencies, especially those of Sordland's main trading partners, the central bank can exert more control over the value of our currency. Section 2 outlines the adoption of a prudent fiscal policy. By reducing the national debt and limiting budget deficits, the country can present itself as a more stable economic entity, attracting foreign investment and improving our credit rating, which in turn would enable us to borrow at lower interest rates if necessary. Section 3 proposes increased legal and informational support for industries with high export potential, such as our emerging electronic sector in Gelsord, wine production in Bourne, and pharmaceutical manufacturing in Lockhaven. By increasing exports, the demand for our currency on the international market will rise, thus strengthening its value. I don't really see any reasons to veto this. Honestly, that sounds like a good thing. Yeah, I'm going to go and sign that. That sounds like a good idea. Cool. Alright, so we got 2 newspapers now. From the Wholesale Post, Central Bank Act, a stronghold for Sordland. In signing the Central Bank Reinforcement Act, President Rain has bolstered Sordland's fiscal future. The act, aimed at enhancing the stability of our national currency, underlines the importance of prudent financial practices. By reducing national debt and maintaining foreign exchange reserves, we are fortifying our economic foundation. This strategic move upholds our sovereignty, securing Swordland's economic interests against foreign manipulation. And from Lockhaven Times, op-ed, a misguided attempt at control. From the desk of the Ventry City Free Trade Committee comes this warning. The signing of the Central Bank Reinforcement Act is a blow to free market principles. In the committee's view, the new laws focus on accumulating foreign exchange reserves, bolstering domestic industries, may limit the flexibility and dynamism of Swordland's economy. The act could discourage foreign investment and stifle competition, two vital ingredients for a vibrant market economy. At a time when the global economy requires adaptability and openness, this legislation seems to pull Swordland in the opposite direction. Article paid for by Ventry City Free Trade Committee. Cool. Let's see, we got an overview update on policies, Central Bank Reinforcement Acts, and fiscal protection measures, and a codex update on something. Ishval Urson, apparently. Cool. Alright. Well, let's head over to Deer for the budget allocation of healthcare. I was having my afternoon tea in the State House office in Deer and going through newspapers. One of the headlines piqued my interest. I read Polio Crisis in Valen. Before I could start reading, I heard a couple of knocks. Paskal entered, followed by Lucian.
Mr. President, it's time for the scheduled healthcare meeting.
Good afternoon. Please take your seats. They had taken their seats, and Paskal produced documents from his suitcase. He put them on the table. Paskal looked at the newspaper I was reading. Very troubling news from Valen, Mr. President. I have just returned from a meeting with our top scientists on the matter of polio. It seems to be spreading. Indeed, this might have dire consequences to the region. He nodded. What I was told by our researchers was that with the current infection rate, there'll soon be millions of people affected by polio. So you've notified all the healthcare staff, especially the ones closer to the Valen border. Unfortunately, these are also the more rural areas where we lack equipment and staff. We need to be ready for any possibility.
I doubt it is that serious yet. Regardless, back to the topic, Mr. Bennywool.
Paskal put on his reading glasses and went through the documents. He didn't say anything for a whole minute.
Mr. Bennywool?
Yes, of course. Let's start. He put the papers down, cleared his throat, and looked at me. In general, I am very content with the budget decision that was made. This comes as a very pleasant surprise that we all welcome to the ministry. The overall mood has been positive as the administration focuses more on the healthcare. I am excited about what we can achieve with the allocated funds. Providing better healthcare is our goal. This administration will be known to have supported the welfare services. I am personally invested to solve the horrible infant and maternal death rates along with your requests. As you know, I've been preparing a new privatization program that will create funds through selling of unused ministry property and some extra taxes.
I know this too, Paskal. This goes against our economic doctrine. Additionally, health is a key sector people expect to have in public hands. Aside from creating additional funds, there's a long-term problem with privatization in a country like Swordland.
You're right, there might be structural issues, especially due to private greed market manipulation.
Also in a country where most people don't have access to quality healthcare.
I do agree that there's some concern there, but the benefits of competitive and quality services is greater.
This is not Arcadia nor Lesbia. You're talking about Swordland, which healthcare is free for now. We have people who have their lives depending on a service that is free to them. Messing with that structure will definitely hurt us politically in the future. That I know for sure. But the choice is yours, Mr. President.
I mean, I don't see why we would privatize healthcare. So, we'll keep healthcare in state control. Don't allow any private involvement that could endanger core health services. As you wish, the health services shall remain in public hands.
Good choice.
Now, let's get to the big question of how we will spend the extra funds dedicated to the Ministry of Health. I urge you to consider these proposals. We could build new hospitals where necessary, divert funding to increase the salaries of our health workers, or invest in enhancing the existing treatment facilities in rural areas. Each of these options presents a unique path towards improving healthcare access and quality in Swordland. Improving treatment in rural areas is a must to prevent mistreatment, disease, and sickness. The sad reality is that our rural clinics are woefully outdated, ill-equipped, and understaffed. This stark disparity between urban and rural healthcare is a major contributor to the high maternal mortality rates and prevalence of other diseases in our rural communities. Addressing this issue is one of my key objectives in this chair, and I believe an overhaul of the rural healthcare infrastructure is a critical step in that direction.
We are seeing an uptick in minor outbreaks in specific regions. It's largely due to outdated facilities that lack proper hygiene standards and equipment.
Yeah, I don't think we're even going to look at the other ones. Let's just do that. We can proceed with the decision, Mr. Pennywell. In my book, The Unfortunate Man, I depicted the hardships of a poor mining family, a vivid illustration of the stark health inequalities in our society. As Minister of Health, I strive to rectify these disparities. Therefore, I believe improving treatment of rural areas should be our course of action, Mr. President.
It would be best to consider the political advantages of each one, as well as the practical advantages, before making a decision.
A few minutes went by in a contemplation as the moment to make a decision came near. Oh, cool. Alright, well, we're still doing it. Improve rural treatment by hiring health staff and upgrading equipment in rural areas. New contracts for improvements will be drawn up immediately. Well, that wraps up our discussion for now.
Very well. Fruitful meeting, nevertheless. Nice and short.
Just the way I like it. Paskal gathered his documents and left along with Lucien. Nice. Alright. Let's see. Whole sword, we have a talk with friends Richter, but we also have a codex update on the welfare situation. Quality rural health services. Fantastic. Let's close that. We have one newspaper here from Geopolitico. Thousands protest the new governor of Helluland. Thousands in Helioport took to the streets to protest the Agnolian government's increasing control over Helluland's administration following the appointment of a new governor. Demonstrators protested the Agnolian government's decision to appoint a governor from the Agnolian mainland without holding any local elections on the island. Voxlandian leader Chancellor Hagel is quick to condemn the decision. The majority of the residents on the island still claim Vog heritage or of Voxlandian ancestry. Experts say that the increasing tensions between Agnolia and Voxland prompted the Agnolian authorities to make this decision with an aim to increase their control over the island. Fantastic. Alright. Well, we could go talk with friends Richter, but I think I'm going to go ahead and call it here for today. So that sounds like a pretty nice place to start next time. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.